Let's bring in Michael Gagan now, political analyst. Michael, I just want to get your thoughts on the life and legacy of John Horgan.
Well, John was a very decent man, and he is very well regarded by people right across the political spectrum. He was always someone who kept the concerns of average, everyday working people, blue collar workers, etc. He tried to keep that foremost in his mind as premier and as a cabinet minister, and before that as a ministerial assistant. And I had the opportunity to work with him in the 1990s, and he always remained the same decent guy who had blue collar values, and he took those values with him when as he eventually became premier. He was certainly someone who was committed to looking after the plight of the average person, and so as such he's respected by New Democrats, liberals, conservatives alike.
As you mentioned, for someone that did work with him early on and then was able to watch his career progress to reaching the heights that it did to become Premier of British Columbia, firstly in a minority situation and then forming a majority government shortly after that. Talk about his legacy in Victoria, in the halls of power. You talked about him as a guy that kept his blue-collar roots, but as policy, what legacy does he leave behind?
Well, I think the main legacy he leaves behind is that that if you want to be popular in British Columbia, you have to put the needs of average folks front and center. I think that's one of the legacies he leaves behind, and certainly he brought a level of decency to politics in British Columbia that is fondly remembered. So I think those are going to be two of his major legacies. I mean, there's obviously things that he tried to do in terms of striking a balance between environmental concerns and the need to grow the economy so that people could have decent paying jobs. And that's something that's not easy to do in British Columbia. So he certainly strived to achieve that balance. But I think, he's someone that where there's a lesson for both sides of the political spectrum to take, which is, put the working man and woman first, and you will find yourself very popular amongst the electorate in general.
On a personal note, what will be a lasting memory for you?
John was just his decency, his sense of humor. He was a guy that even when we disagreed politically, he was always affable and pleasant, and never let the political get in the way of the personal, at least in his dealings with me. So I will always fondly remember him, and he will certainly be missed.
And I just want to point out, in the short time that we do have left, his family, the statement from the family, I find it very fitting for myself, who covered BC politics for many years as well, knowing him in and around the halls of power at the legislature building in Victoria. It was quite well known that he was a big fan of the Star Trek franchise, and so they finished their family statement by saying "Live long and prosper." Quite fitting indeed.
Yeah, he was totally a Trekkie, and I respected that about him too.
All right, Michael Gagan, I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for your insight into former BC Premier John Horgan, who has died at the age of 65. Thanks again.